Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Big Future Live. My name is Richard Green. I work here on the Big Future team at College Board, and we are a team of former educators like myself, parents, college and career planning pros, many others, all committed to helping all students take the right first step after high school. We're so glad you're here tonight. Certainly, you've had a busy day. If you're a student, you were at school in class all day. If you're a parent, you may have been working all day. We're so glad you're here. Welcome to Big Future Live, what I wish I knew my freshman and sophomore year. If you didn't know, Big Future Live is a series of virtual community events. They happen almost every week, and it's where you can connect with college reps, career experts, peers to help you plan for life after high school. And we have one big goal here. Every event, our goal is to answer your questions, as many of them as we can. We're going to get started in just a moment. You will not be sitting through a long PowerPoint presentation. We don't show tons of slides. Really, this is a virtual community, and it's powered by you and your questions. So welcome to Big Future Live. Let's dive in, because it is never too early to start planning for your life after high school. And today, you're going to hear from current college students, insider perspective about what they wish they knew when they were in 9th and 10th grade in high school. You'll also hear from a Big Future ambassador who is in high school now. Plus, you'll hear from a college representative, an expert who can answer your questions about how to make big decisions and get started with planning what's going to come next for you after high school. We have so many people here today, which is why we want to get to know you. We'd love to know who is in the room so we can best answer your questions. Here is our first poll. If you are a student, what grade are you in? If you're a parent, what grade is your child in? 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. We're starting to get some responses. And we have students here from every grade. We have a lot of 9th and 10th graders here. We're so glad you're here, along with parents of 9th and 10th graders. And even if you're not in 9th or 10th grade, our panelists are going to have tons of advice that will help you too, no matter what grade you are in. So we are so glad you're here. And enough from me. Let's meet tonight's speakers who are going to be answering your questions. Kent, Parth, Hannah, and Omar. I'll ask each, we're so glad you're here. Thank you for being here. I will ask each of you to introduce yourselves and tell us your name, where you're from, and a fun fact about you or the school you represent. And we're going to start with Kent Hopkins, who's the Vice President of Academic Enterprise Enrollment in the Office of the University Provost at Arizona State University. Kent, tell us where you're from and your fun fact about you or the school that you represent.
Sure, Richard. I started my 14th year at Arizona State University yesterday as Vice President for Enrollment. I've been in the profession 39 years, but I grew up in the state of Iowa. And in my high school junior year, I was cast as Henry Higgins in My Fair Lady. So that's what I was doing my junior year in high school.
Well, first off, congratulations on your anniversary at ASU. And we have a true expert here in the house with Kent, and also you're a performer. So we cannot wait for tonight's conversation. Kent, thanks for introducing yourself and your fun fact. We're going to move on now and ask Parth to introduce himself. Parth, take it away.
Hello, my name is Parth Parikh. I am a junior at McDowell High School in Erie, Pennsylvania. I joined here through the Big Future Ambassador Program. And one fun fact about myself is that I'm currently taking AP Research and researching how large pieces of text in Sanskrit, which is a foreign language, can be summarized with a computer algorithm.
Parth, thank you so much. We're so glad you're here. And, Kent has already talked about extracurricular activities. Parth has touched on coursework in high school. So this is going to be a great conversation. Let's meet our other two panelists. Please say hello to Hannah. Hannah, tell us about yourself and your fun fact.
Hello, my name's Hannah Bonaducci. I'm a freshman communications major at Eastern University, which is in St. David's, Pennsylvania. I'm a former Big Future ambassador, and the program is very near and dear to my heart, and that's why I'm here with you guys today. And a fun fact about me is that I have actually had a chance to interview a U.S. Paralympian to go for a school and local newspaper.
That sounds quite a story, quite a story. We might even have time to get into that later on. We have tons of questions. So stay tuned. Omar, say hello to everybody.
Hi, everyone. My name is Omar Kovar Jr., a freshman Africana Studies major with the minor in political science here at the Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, originally from Columbia, South Carolina, and a former Big Future ambassador. And I would say one fact about me is that I'm also a genealogist.
Omar, thank you so much. So I'm hearing lots about interests that each of you have. Very curious about how that shaped the decisions about where to go to college, what to study. So much to dive into. And you know, panelists, you should know we have so many questions. We have questions from Rebecca, from Sarah, Omar, Hannah. Don't worry, we're going to get to those questions really soon, everybody. But first, some housekeeping. In case you wondered, you are in listen-only mode for the entire conversation tonight. So that means you can see us, but we can't see you. That doesn't mean that we don't want to hear from you. There's a chat box at the bottom of the screen, and that's where you can type in your questions. Remember, Big Future Live is where you come to get your questions answered, so don't be shy. We will answer as many as we can tonight. Also, you should know that we have a feedback survey that you'll see at the end of tonight's event. We'll also send it to you over your email. And that's really important because we read everything that students and parents tell us to help us make the next Big Future Live event even better. So thank you in advance for your feedback. Oh, and one other thing. If you're worried that you're going to have to step away or your laptop battery might run out, don't worry. We've got you covered. Recordings of this event and all Big Future Live events are available for you at bigfuture.org/live. So we're here to answer your questions tonight, but if you have to step out, you can come back to get your questions answered. And it's just the beginning. Check out bigfuture.org/live for weekly events this fall. And in fact, a little bit later, we'll tell you about a special week that's coming up in December that you're not going to want to miss when it comes to Big Future Live. Before we answer your questions, panelists, I think we need to know what's on people's mind, what they want us to answer the most first. So let's have our next poll. Here is our next poll. Everybody out there, students and parents, help us out. What topics are you most interested in hearing about today? And we have four topics you can tell us about. The role of test scores in a test optional world, tips on writing a college essay, how to start exploring careers, and how to find the right school for me. We're having some responses already come in, and it seems like everybody wants to hear about all of these topics, but the most popular topic is how to find the right school for me, followed by how to start exploring careers. And our panelists have plenty to say about these topics. So let's jump in. Let's jump in right away. And so many questions, but let's start with finding the right school for me, since there is so much interest there. And we actually have a question from Amy that is for Hannah. And then Omar, we're going to get you to answer the same question. You're now a first-year student, Hannah, at Eastern University. You've been in school for a bit. You're wrapping up your first semester. Amy wants to know this. Amy says, did anything about your college classes or college life really surprise you compared to what you expected back when you were in high school?
Yes, so hello, Amy. Lovely to hear from you, and I'm so glad you asked. One big difference for me specifically is in my high school, we had period scheduling. So each semester, I was taking 10 classes a semester. When I moved to college, I had a much smaller class list per semester. However, learning to balance that just because I have less classes doesn't mean that I have less work. So staying up with your study habits and understanding that just because you might have less classes, understanding more of the weight that you have going along with that and the work that's going to go into that has been just, another balance that I've been keeping up with. But also one of the biggest changes for me is that my school's honors college that I'm a part of is mostly discussion-based classes. So for once, I'm learning a lot more of speaking up in class and not having to raise hands and getting to dive into a text in a way I never had before. So it's really neat opportunity for people that are interested in classical education. So that's another thing that when you're looking at colleges, you can look into is what type of education am I looking for, and understanding what the classroom setting looks like, and knowing that that classroom setting can be very different from what you've had in high school and how to adjust from there.
Your class sounds so fun. You've been in class all day today. Can you give us an example of a discussion that you might have been in today, Hannah, and what made it fun?
Yes, of course. So one class that I was in that was one of my discussion-based classes was West Civilization, and we're currently reading The Confessions by Augustine. So basically, there's no guided questions. The professor sits in a circle of tables with us, and we just dive into the text and we bring up a quote and we think, what does this mean? Or how does this apply to our lives? The class mostly focuses on not just what does the text mean, but how do we apply it to our lives? So that type of critical thinking is, something that I didn't get to develop as much in high school. And as much as it is a bit of an adjustment, I love going through it. So it's really interesting.
Hannah, amazing. So fewer classes, but study habits are very important, and you do not have to raise your hand. Very helpful. Omar, you've had a different experience. You're at a different school. You're at Morehouse in Atlanta. Tell us about what surprised you compared to what you expected when you were in high school.
Hi. So I would say I agree with Hannah. Coming from high school, being an honor student, the workload seemed to be a lot. And so translating that into my current freshman year here at Morehouse College, I thought it was going to be, a lot more work and, with my classes and whatnot. However, I found that not to be very true. So with one class, I've only had 3 assignments within the entire semester. So that really surprised me to see that it's not always about the workload, but just those individual assignments and how you take them and assess them. And I would say, again, another thing that was brought up was the discussion. So I really do like how from high school, you raise your hand, you have to be called on or whatnot. However, here at Morehouse, discussion is open. So you're able to express your opinion and, everyone learns to respect others as well.
Pretty amazing that you both found campus communities where you can express yourselves, you can listen to each other, listen to your classmates, and you're clearly learning a lot. And a lot of students and parents out there, Omar and Hannah, are probably wondering, well, how do I find the college that's right for me? And we have a question out there that's for you, Kent, which is this: how do I start finding the college that is right for me, and where can I look to put schools that I could include on a list?
Sure. Right for me is that's big, right? You've got to step back and you've got to look at yourself. And you've got to think, what are my academic likes? What are my academic dislikes? What are my academic strengths? What are my academic weaknesses? So I think you need to look at academically. Then I also think you need to look at introspectively, you as a person. What are your personal strengths? What are your personal weaknesses? We all have them. What are your personal likes and what are your personal dislikes? I think you have to start a bit with, when you say right for me, the operative word in that is me, not right. And then from there, start to explore a little bit. Hannah, Omar, and Parth, you're just starting your journey. You're going to get your degrees. You're a lot younger than I am, but you will probably be in anywhere from 7 to 10 careers in your adult life. And so we could talk about, well, I want to go into engineering. Well, I want to go into business. Broaden that scope to say, what do you want to do with your life? And then from there, you start to look at a campus environment. There's so many characteristics that could be right for you, but you've really got to start a lot of time talking about what is right for me.
So you have to, what I hear you saying, Ken, is that everybody out there can start by thinking about their interests, their passions, how they like to spend their time. And Parth, we're going to bring you into the conversation. You are a high school student now. You are a Big Future ambassador, and you're starting to think about potential careers that you might want to explore, which will help you decide on the best educational options for you after high school. You have some interest. You were telling us that you've taken the career quiz on Big Future as a way to look for careers that match your interests. Tell us a little bit about what your interests are, how taking the career quiz helped. People will find that really helpful.
So for me personally, I already knew that I wanted to go into something software computer science based. But as I took the career quiz, I was able to explore myself more in terms of when I was answering the questions, I had to think about, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Like Mr. Hopkins talked about. And then after that, I kind of got the results, and they aligned really well with what my interests were in terms of the software engineering and the computer science possible career pathways.
So helpful. And in part, did the career quiz that you took, did it take a long time to take?
No, not at all. It was really quick, and it was really succinct in providing me accurate results.
So everybody out there, what we're hearing is that one step you need to take right away is to find careers that might match your interests and be really clear about what matters to you, your interests. And there is a career quiz on Big Future that you can take. It takes most students less than 10 minutes to take, and you'll answer some questions that help you start to explore options that might be right for you. Let's take a moment and watch a video that's going to tell you a little bit more about how to start exploring careers, because people have a lot of questions about that. So we'll watch this video and we'll be right back to answer more of your questions.
What do you want to do after high school? Is a big question for any student, and it can be hard to know where to start. Big Future is the free online tool to help students like you start planning for your future, your way. And our career quiz is a fast and easy way to discover some careers that could be a good match for you. The short quiz asks questions about the kinds of activities you enjoy to discover some careers that might best match your interests. Each career profile has income, education, projected job growth information, which you can sort by to tailor your results. And as you find careers you're interested in, you can save them to your list. Visit bigfuture.org/career quiz today.
So everybody, you can take the career quiz on Big Future after tonight's Big Future Live. And this has led to another question that we have from Michelle. Michelle wants to know, where did you find opportunities to explore your interest? And Omar, we'll start with you. Where did you find opportunities to explore your interest?
Okay, so I would say that Big Future was a major role in that process. And so when looking at my interests, though they didn't have the career quiz at that moment, they did have a site where you could go in and explore careers, see the different type of salaries, the degree you needed, as well as how that job would be prevalent to the future. And so that really helped me to assess going into the legal field. I knew I wanted to become a lawyer, but I didn't know exactly what type of lawyer I wanted to be. And so the Big Future, it helped me to assess, which law fields were more consistent with what I wanted to do in the world. And so that's one of the ways I got to pinpoint those interests and narrow them down.
And Omar, were you involved in extracurricular activities or things in your community that helped you identify that interest and find that desire to become an attorney?
Yes, so aside from being in Big Future, I was also a part of the Boy Scouts of America, student government, and Model UN. And so I felt that I had a sense of wanting to help the community. And so that kind of helped me to narrow it down to either being a criminal justice lawyer or even being one that deals with like probate and helping people get their estates and things together, because I feel like a lot of people's properties in the states, they go back to the government because they don't know how to necessarily keep that up in a legal set point so that it can pass on to the next generation.
So Omar, you tried a range of different extracurricular activities in school and outside of school, like Boy Scouts, and really pointed you toward this path that is going to involve service. Hannah, you told us you're a communications major, and you've told us in the past that you were very involved on the student newspaper in high school. Back to this question that we have from Michelle. Where did you find opportunities to explore your interests?
Yes, so I'm really glad for the fact that I had a mom that was very much pushing me to just try something, to go outside of what I might have usually done. If it was something that interested me and I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted to do it, I could try it for a year and drop it. Or if it was something that I wouldn't get, worst case scenario, I learned valuable skills in trying out for something. So I was greatly involved with my school newspaper. And at the end of my junior year, I applied for a job with a local newspaper and got that job as well. So, I mean, that was such a wonderful opening into, this is something that I want to do. Because originally I was planning on being an English major because I was interested in writing. But the more that I was trying out different writing opportunities, I realized, I like the field of journalism more because it combines writing alongside leadership and copy editing skills that I also enjoy. And just being able to try something was, a really great opportunity. And another thing that I'm really supportive of is if you're looking at colleges or if there's just a field or major that you're interested in, try looking at college summer programs. There are a lot of college summer programs. You can stay a week on campus and try like a different event. Sometimes it offers college credit for completing the course. You get the experience of being on a college campus. You get to try out the class and decide, maybe I don't like this as much as I thought I did, or, oh, you know what, I like this a bit more than I thought I did, and I'm going to continue to explore this. So, I mean, always look to get involved in your school. Always just try something new.
Hannah, that is so helpful. So what I hear Omar and Hannah telling the students and parents out there is just try a range of activities because you never know where they're going to lead. And Hannah, we actually have a question that is very similar to that was building on what you were talking about for summer programs. And this is for Kent. How the question is, how important are summer programs and how do I find the one that's right for me? That is a question from Gina Kent. How important are the right summer programs?
Well, hi, Gina, and thanks for that question. I mean, thank goodness for the World Wide Web, right? do an inquiry on your level of interest in summer programs. You certainly can rely on your contacts for Big Futures as well. Maybe, as Hannah said, experiment, though. If you feel like you want to go into a science major, but yet you need to strengthen your science foundation, maybe a science camp would be better for you than an athletic camp or a writing camp or something that resonates to you that you're really, really good at. So if you could connect the dots there, use the internet, but step back. And again, it's like, what am I trying to, how am I using my summer? Don't put a lot of pressure on yourselves, but how am I using my summer to be better in my high school sophomore year, my high school junior year? How is that part of my educational journey? And how can that help me right now accomplish my goal that's right now, knowing that goal might change during your high school career?
Kent, that's so helpful. And, you mentioned not putting too much pressure on ourselves. And we have a question from Agape that gets right at this. This is her question. My son is taking magnet classes as a freshman. At the same time, he plays sports and music. It looks stressful to handle all that. I am concerned about sleeping time. How can ninth graders organize their time? That question is from Agape, Kent.
Well, I think Omar can talk about organization, but Agape, make sure that in your weekly calendar and your weekend calendar, there's time to do something fun. And fun varies, or stop. There's stop time. So, monitor sleep patterns. Sleep is so important to our overall health. But the best thing you can do to say, hey, that's great. Look at the classes that you're taking. It's great that you're involved in sports. Are you having fun? Are you learning? But are there times when you feel like you need to stop a little bit? And what does that stop mean? I mean, I love my job. There's lots to love here at Arizona State University. So one of the things that I do to decompress is I like to watch sports. And so we watch a lot of Phoenix Suns, and they better win the NBA Finals this year. Just saying.
Noting this about the Phoenix Suns and extracurricular activities, they continue to be a theme. And Hannah and Omar have talked about what that looked like for them in high school. Parth, you're a current high school student. You're a Big Future ambassador. That's just one of the activities that you've had. What activity are you the proudest of that you, or what leadership experience are you the proudest of at your high school? Tell us about what that's been like for you.
So that's a great question. So I've really tried to be involved in my high school community. I'm the president of our USAD, United States Academic Decathlon team, and also founder and president of Computer Science Club. And Computer Science Club is probably the achievement that I'm most proud of, because that has allowed me to express my passion. And by founding it, I've been able to create that community of computer science lovers within my school. And that's really been a really rewarding experience for me and a lot of my peers.
Amazing. So if the activity isn't there, you can start it. Ask an educator in your school to help you make it happen. Speaking of organizational skills are important, like Hannah said, because you might have fewer classes. Omar said you're going to have fewer assignments that are spread out over time. Organizational skills are also important when it comes to keeping track of colleges. Omar, Kent gave you a shout out for your organizational skills. How did staying organized help you get ready for where you are today? And what are your organizational tips when it comes to looking for colleges and scholarships?
Okay, thank you. So I know one of my biggest idiosyncrasies is procrastination. So I knew going into my senior year, I wanted to plan ahead. And so I use resources like Excel to kind of map out which colleges I was going to apply to, as well as the scholarships. And so it really helped me to keep myself organized, keep myself together, as well as creating a folder for, things such as recommendations, essays, certain things that are going to be asked for scholarships and for your college resumes. And so I kept all those things in one place, and it made it a lot easier to just be able to go to that folder and pull out what I needed and submit it ahead of time. And so I would say that is one of the key things that helped me to focus on what I needed to, as well as having a mentor. You should always find someone you can go to, and someone who can, stay on you to make sure that you're getting everything done. And so that was also a big help to me as well.
Thank you so much, Omar. Hannah, what's your top tip for staying organized, and how can you get started? What do you wish you knew back in 9th or 10th grade that you hope everybody here knows about staying organized?
Well, this one isn't one I hoped I knew, as one I know and has helped me through high school. I am a avid supporter of the planner. as you can see here, I have my little monthly planner with a lot of things written on it. And I have weekly ones that has a day-to-day basis of things you can write in. And that was the biggest thing, especially senior year with all of the events I had going on of like, hey, you have this that you have to do as a senior. This is an event you're managing. This is something you have to do for college. This is when this application is due. This is when the scholarship is due. And yeah, it gets really hectic really quickly. And so having a monthly planner that you can just first write down, this is when this is due, this is when this is due. And then within the weekly part, you can write down day-to-day assignments. And then also, I have this event at this time tonight, or this scholarship is due on this day. So that would help me go through and remember, okay, I need to get this done. I need to get it ahead of time because I could see it also in light of all of the other things that I had going on during that week or that month. So that was one of the most helpful things for me. And then I also agree with just keeping a folder of all of the things that are relevant to college, like have one folder separated into recommendation letters, your resume. I also had like 2 or 3 pictures that I had saved that I would use for scholarship applications because occasionally they'd ask for a picture. And that was really helpful. A good thing is to have like one base resume, because sometimes you can submit like a base resume in with a lot of things and it doesn't hurt to add it. But worst case scenario, you can refer back to it as when you're filling out all of these things. So on mine, I would put work experience, volunteer experience, leadership experience, awards, and things I was involved in. So that way, when you're writing that essay and you're trying to fit everything in, you can just go back and almost check it off like a list.
So keeping everything in a folder is really important. That's probably a folder on your desktop, but also probably your email because you're going to get lots of emails related to the process. Also from Omar, be sure to keep track of things in a tool like Excel, and a planner is very helpful according to Hannah. Parth, what would be the organizational tip you wish you knew when you were a freshman or sophomore you want to make sure everyone out here knows?
I think for me, during my freshman and sophomore years, I didn't really take advantage of all these reminder apps that are out there, like Google Tasks, Google Keep. Those are so fundamental in terms of being able to organize yourself and have everything on your phone at your fingertips at all times. And then in recent times, I've kind of used College Vine as well as the Big Future website in order to create a list of colleges that I want to apply to, or at least just explore before my senior year.
That's really helpful. And what everybody should know about Big Future is that there is information about more than 3,000 colleges and universities all across the country. And you can explore and even watch videos that have been uploaded by current college students so you can get a feel of what campus life is like for students. So Big Future can help you get organized. And I also just hear that it doesn't matter what your tool is. Parth is using tech. Hannah's using a paper planner. Omar is using Excel for things. It doesn't matter what system works for you. It's important that you have a system so that it comes from the inside of your head and is somewhere where you can see it. It's very visual and you can keep track of it. So we've talked a lot about how you find a college that's right for you. We've also been talking about how you can discover your interests by extracurricular activity participation, taking the career quiz. We're going to shift now to what colleges are looking for. And Kent, this question came in for you. What are colleges looking for? Is it grades only? Is it extracurricular activities and grades? Is it SAT scores? People are really trying to navigate what colleges are looking for. What do you want them to know?
Sure. I really think the base for colleges is your curriculum. And so, I had the opportunity to talk to my provost today, and we were looking at all of our first year students who are here and how many are registering for the spring semester. Well, that's just an activity, right? They're registering for classes. We've got to see how they do in their grades. So we have students involved in fraternities and sororities. We have students working both on and off campus. We have students involved in clubs and organizations. The bottom line, when it comes down to it, it's the grades. And so I would say the same at a university would be true for high school. So build that academic foundation, your freshman year, your sophomore year. That, to me, that's 8 units of college preparatory curriculum that leads to strength in your high school, junior, and your senior year. And I would also tell you, and I'm an advocate of this, you should all take the SAT because it's part of your learning portfolio. ASU does not require the SAT. Neither do our sister institutions at Northern Arizona University or the University of Arizona. But I think for all of you here tonight, because you came here to learn about your journey with college planning, think of the SAT as part of your learning portfolio. But your learning portfolio really starts with the classes that you take and the grades that you receive in those classes.
So grades are really important. Same with the classes that you choose to take. And that leads to a question, Kent, that we had from Maury, who asked this: can your SAT make up for some of your bad grades?
Absolutely. So again, if you go to the Arizona Board of Regents, type in that, there's actually alternative admission standards that would be based on your SAT scores. So if you're not able to get B grades in certain subject matters, but the SAT shows that you have comprehension and aptitude in certain areas, that can be a replacement for the admission standard. You'll see that more at public universities possibly than you would at private universities.
Really helpful. And Kent, we should make sure everyone out here, because we're talking to a lot of ninth graders and 10th graders, knows this. You should remember that the SAT will be digital for students in the United States starting in spring 2024. So it will no longer be taken paper pencil starting in spring 2024. So if you are in the class of 2025, that means you are a 10th grader now, you will be the first to take the SAT digitally. And you can also take the PSAT digitally beginning in fall 2023. That's when you're a junior. So you'll be able to take the digital PSAT NMSQT assessment when you're a junior, if your school offers it, before you take the digital SAT in the spring of your junior year. And, you know, a lot of people have questions also about how I get ready for the SAT. Omar, this is a question from Bobby. Did you do any PSAT or SAT preparation early in high school?
Hi, Bobby. So no, I did not do any preparation. I bought the books, but I felt that it would just be better to go in and see how it was laid out, because I was told that you couldn't really study for the PSAT or the SAT. And so no, I did not prep. However, I would say that I did use Khan Academy through Big Future to kind of build on the skills that I knew I lacked in. And so I knew I wasn't so good at math. And so Khan Academy through Big Future helped me to strengthen those skills so that I could go in knowing a little bit more.
Really helpful. So everybody, you should know about free personalized official SAT practice on Khan Academy, which will help you, for example, take a practice test. I'm curious, Hannah, did you ever take a practice test before you took the SAT?
Yes, so I sort of had a similar experience where I didn't practice for the PSAT because we were told that the PSAT was just a baseline to show us what we should study for the SAT. So I took my PSAT and used those scores in Khan Academy to create a personalized study plan. And I took the SAT twice. And after the first time, I started using the full practice test on Khan Academy and saw a 100-point score jump. So 100% recommend the Khan Academy practice and the full practice tests.
Really helpful to hear these tips. And knowing that the SAT will be digital for US students starting in the spring of 2024, I want to bring Parth into this conversation because Parth, you had a chance to participate in a digital SAT pilot. And people are probably wondering, what was that like? What did it mean to take the SAT digitally? Did you take your own computer? Where did you take it? Did you take it at home? Tell us about what it felt like when you took this digital SAT pilot. What was the experience like?
So when I did the digital SAT pilot, the thing I took with me was my computer, And when you download the application, it'll open up and show you the test you have available. So when you get to the site, they'll check you in. You'll be able to open up the computer and then get on the test. One great thing about this, especially for the math section, is that the graphing calculator is built into the digital SAT application on your computer. So even if you don't have a graphing calculator with you, or say your actual physical calculator doesn't work, you can still use the online calculator that is built into the application to graph the different functions and be able to perform optimally on the exam. And then one thing I found really helpful with the digital SAT in comparison to the paper pencil SAT was the 15-minute break that they offer between the math section and the English section. That really offers you a chance to wind down and be able to refresh your memory and reinvigorate yourself before you go into the second set of testing.
Really helpful. It sounds like you had a good experience, and we've actually heard that most students who participated in the pilot thought that it was an experience that was even better than the experience they had when they took the SAT paper pencil. So we're excited for more students to take the SAT digitally when it's available to students in the US starting in spring 2024. And we have another question, Kent, for you from T. Fitzgerald. To what extent are SAT scores looked at for decisions about merit aid when colleges are making decisions about financial aid?
Sure. I think all these questions are absolutely wonderful. And as you start to narrow your search process down and you're talking to someone like an Arizona State University, ask these questions and then see if you get the clarity of answers. You could actually go to our website and you could plug in your grades and your test scores, and we're going to show you what your merit scholarship would be. You don't have to have the test score, though, in order to be considered for merit scholarships. So in higher ed, I've been in it way too long. I told you that already earlier. You'll hear the word, it depends. Well, it depends is up to you as a family, as a student, as parents. And if you don't feel like you're getting your questions answered, persevere, okay? Because you might hear some generic information up front in your junior year. As you go through your senior year, there will be more and more shared with you. Some are very transparent. Some start to tell you more detailed information once you're admitted to the university. But if that's really important to you, is looking at merit scholarships, start begging those questions, and again, do your inquiries on the internet.
So there are people willing to ask your questions when you seek them out, is what I heard from Kent. We are almost out of time, and we have one last question for our two current college students, Omar and Hannah. We had a question: how do I stay on track if I'm in 9th grade? What would be your number one piece of advice for 9th and 10th graders, Hannah and Omar, about how they can stay on track? We'll start with Hannah.
Yes, so that is a really good question. One of the most basic things you can do is make sure that if your high school has any required courses that you have to be taking that would take up your extracurricular space, be taking those. So that way your junior and senior year, you can really delve into the extracurriculars that your school offers. But one of the biggest things that you can do to be prepared is just get to know yourself more. And I mean that in the sense of like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? You might not know your particular career that you're looking at or even your major, but when you try out more things, it just builds your portfolio. So that way, when you start applying for all of those scholarships, you know, okay, I have a better chance at winning some of these scholarships rather than some of these. Or when you start writing those college admissions essays, you go, okay, so maybe math isn't particularly my strong suit. However, I know that I'm really involved in my school in this particular way, or I'm really good at this particular sport. Just trying out all of those different things that are going to help you build a round portfolio to have the best chance at multiple different scholarships and college applications.
Hannah, thank you. Omar, you're going to have the last word. What is your top advice? And we have just a minute left. What's your top advice for 9th and 10th graders out there to stay on track?
Hi. So again, I would agree with Hannah with finding yourself, making sure you know your interests, but also being able to find a mentor, someone you can depend on as you matriculate through your high school years, because that would be a big help with helping you prepare and staying on top of what you need to apply for colleges and scholarships.
Last word from Omar: find a caring adult, a mentor who can help you sort through the questions that you have. Unfortunately, thank you so much, Omar. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. All of us here at Big Future would like to thank tonight's guests, Kent, Parth, Hannah, and Omar. Thank you so much for being here. And thanks to everyone out there for joining Big Future Live. We want to hear how today's session went. After this session closes, you will immediately be redirected to a feedback survey. Before you leave, please take the survey. We read everything that parents and students tell us because it helps us make future Big Live events even better. And if you missed anything that you heard tonight's panelists say, don't worry, the recording will be available later on demand at bigfuture.org/live. And don't forget to join us next week as we talk about paying for college at Fund Your Future New York on Wednesday, November 16th. And get ready for a special week of Big Future Live events in December. We'll be holding Big Future Scholarships Week right here on Big Future Live. So you can register right away for all the Big Future Live events at bigfuture.org/live. If you want to find out any of the information about the events, including Big Future Scholarships Weeks, that is where you will go. Thanks, everyone, and have a great night from everybody here at Big Future.